Hey everyone, today we're going to look at how to diagnose and swap out a flow sensor on your bottoms up system. So a indicator that a flow sensor is malfunctioning, which is a fairly rare event, there's a few ways we can take a look at this. So the first sample, we'll just pour something like normal, and we'll see that the cup doesn't fill up all the way. So we had a programmed medium size and the red lights are flashing. So we know that something is wrong. So we'll try to narrow down our issues here. So we'll just drain this water out first. And to check to see if the flow sensor is the root issue, I want to put the dispenser into prime, or some of the new updated boards say purge mode. You'll push down on the slider magnet of the cup coupler and then just hold the cup over there and press the start stop button. And so we see we just have two red lights here as water comes out. And that is showing us that it's a few different things we can look at here. First, when we have slide the cup coupler up and down, we see the lights change, so we know that the cup sensor is working just fine. But we're dealing with the flow sensor, and there's a flow meter inside this plunger head, which this is the whole plunger assembly is that guy there. So just to refresh, cup goes down in purge mode, and we just get two red lights there. If the flow sensor is working correctly, the lights should look like this. See how they're just kind of swirling, just kind of flashing around the start stop button? So if we're not seeing that, we know that the flow sensor is the main issue. To swap out the flow sensor, it's going to take a Phillips head screwdriver and a little bit of patience. So the flow sensor is this guy right here. So this is the most of the valve assembly that's underneath your dispenser. We've got our solenoid here, the brass block. This is the plunger head assembly. This white part in here is the flow meter. So as liquid comes through the valve, that flow meter spins and reads to the sensor that liquid is coming through. So we have an issue with our flow sensor here. So here we're looking at the underside of the dispenser and the bottom of the valve. It's possible you'll have some foam up in place around your valve, and it's pretty sticky, but you can just peel it down and it should give you nice free access to it. So looking back here in the back, this is our flow sensor. This is what we're going to be unscrewing, and it has a wire connected to it that is this red connector on the circuit board here. So that's off to your far right. So it can be a little bit tricky. It's going to take a small Phillips screwdriver and back out both of the screws and make sure to catch them if they happen to drop through. There you go. The second one's loose. So it just slides. There's a groove right in here that it sits in, and that just slides out of the way. So here's our flow sensor. It's still connected to our circuit board, and easy way to disconnect that is just take your little screwdriver, push in on the tab, and that'll slide right out. And that is located on the far right. It's got the red tape, and there's a red dot on the circuit board, and that also shows you what you're looking for. So now we can swap out the bad one with the good one. And the way to do that is just red tape, make sure it's in the right spot, make sure it clicks into place there. So the side with the numbers here on your flow sensor, that is what sits in the groove on the brass block. So make sure it's nice and seated. And then just take your screws and your Phillips screwdriver and get everything back into place. And it's definitely kind of tricky. So getting those screws definitely be kind of tricky. Kind of have to come at an angle depending on the size of your screwdriver. There it goes. There we go, nice and snug. All right, so let's go back up top and see how it works. All right, so to test that our new sensor is working, just put it back in prime or purge mode. Push down the slider magnet of your cup coupler. And there we go, lights are flashing. And just to double check that that was the issue. Lights are working. And we're at an appropriate pour level. And that's how you swap out a flow sensor, and how you diagnose the problem.